Hey everyone, you've probably already noticed that this video isn't like my others, specifically because I'm not using my real voice at all, and the formatting is much more low effort. I had no other choice but to use the robot voice and Luna fan cam footage for today. Personally, I think this specific robot voice is funny, but whatever. I have an update on an upcoming video. I'm currently working on a Kingdom Hearts story critique. It's going to be an hour long, and it talks about the positive and negative things I personally noticed with the game's storytelling and writing as a whole. I'm really excited for it, and I hope a lot of you will be interested. I've been ready to edit the video for a few weeks now. I finished my voiceover on May 2nd. I have all the footage I need, the music, everything. The only problem is HitFilm Express. I don't know what its problem is all of a sudden, but I've tried and failed to edit the actual video together because HitFilm keeps lagging and crashing. Lately, it told me that my laptop's GPU doesn't have enough VRAM to render the video footage on the timeline. I never had this error appear in HitFilm before. I don't know what's going on with it. I thought having external storage would make this editing process go much faster. Ironically, I was able to complete other long videos without external storage. I don't know if I should stick with HitFilm and cut the editing to even smaller parts, or if I should get another open source, watermark-free editing software with lower system requirements, preferably something that takes under 3 GB to run, has a green screen effect I can put on footage that already has a green screen template, and can still provide HD exporting. I would love suggestions, but please don't suggest software that takes at least 4 GB and higher for HD exports, or to even use the software. Not one word of DaVinci Resolve and Shotcut in the comments. I like HitFilm most because it's easy to use and straight to the point for me, but I guess because all my Kingdom Hearts footage is HD, with many files being over 30 minutes long, HitFilm can't take it all. Even when I cut up the editing to 20 minutes, I tried using the software VSDC, which has lower system requirements, but the interface was too complicated for me to use and I couldn't find a way to use specific parts of imported footage without putting the whole thing on the timeline, like the preview feature HitFilm has. You're telling me I have to put an entire hour of footage on the actual timeline just to use 40 seconds of it and have it mess up the rest of the video? You got me messed up, girly. I was going to download TuneSkit Ace Movie, which had lower system requirements than I expected. It looked really good to use because it barely needed 1 GB of RAM to properly run. But with such low requirements, for some reason, you actually have to pay for it after a month. Try it free, the website says. The page where I found the software information was also from the Ace Movie website, and it didn't say anything about paying until I went to look for more information. How evil. I don't know how long it'll take me to put the Kingdom Hearts video together, but it's definitely going to take a while. I have everything planned. I have visual jokes, I have sound bites, I have cool little effects in mind. But HitFilm wants me to fail all of a sudden. I wish I could magically make my laptop more powerful, but graphics cards cost $5 billion right now. The cryptocurrency bros made graphics cards more expensive lately. Another reason to trash NFTs and crypto mess. But this video takes much less power from my laptop to edit in HitFilm. So right now, here's a quick topic rant that I hope you can sorta, kinda, somewhat chew on, something that can hold you over a little and make the waiting less egregious. Because depending on what I do with the editing process, I don't think the Kingdom Hearts video is coming out until late June or even late July. I wish things were different, but technology has other plans. Now I'm going to talk about the recent controversy surrounding Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beast's protagonist. I actually talked about this on Twitter right when it happened. I had a lot of confused and negative emotions, and I still do. I love all the shows I'm going to mention, except for Molly McGee because I don't watch it. But I'm criticizing some things I've noticed when it comes to black representation in animated TV shows. Also, don't harass anybody that I mention in this video. Giving criticism does not mean you can harass people. For the uninformed, Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts is an animated Netflix series that Netflix paid dust. It's about a girl named Kipo with mutant powers who goes to the surface to explore the world beyond her human burrows and meets some cool colorful characters. She learns more about herself, her friends, and the mutant world around her, all while an overarching plot follows her close by. I love this show a lot, but I'm talking about it now because of that video title. Wonder Beasts was praised for its representation of black people. Lots of black fans like me called it a black show for its prominent cast of black characters, and hip-hop and rap influence in the soundtrack. Even Netflix labeled it under the category of black stories. But here's the other important thing along with those other two factors: everyone, including me, assumed the protagonist, Kipo, was black, specifically Blasian. She had a black dad and an Asian mom. It was obviously expected for people to assume that because Kipo's mom was pregnant with her and her dad was always there with them, and the show didn't allude to Kipo being produced asexually in any way, that Kipo herself, in turn, was half black and half Asian. Blasian, from the region Blaisha, or Kwangya, depending on who you ask. With this very obvious and easy assumption to make, not only did Asian people latch onto Kipo, but so did a crap ton of black and Asian people too. It's still new for me to see mixed characters that aren't white whatsoever. In mainstream fictional media, if someone is mixed race, 9 times out of 10 they're half white too. So Kipo being mixed and completely non-white was a very cool idea that I rarely see. I'm not Asian, but I am black, and just like all these other black fans, I claimed Kipo. I mentioned it in my Princess and the Frog video, which you should totally watch for something way more structured, detailed and good. I thought that, canonically, Kipo could sing Doja Cat songs word for word with her friends Wolf and Benson, pictured here, and they wouldn't jump her because she's black. What a no-brainer. However, as a cruel attempt to crush my more nerdy spirits, the universe provoked the creator of Wonder Beasts, who is white by the way, to tell the whole world that Kipo was, in fact, never half black at all. According to him, she was never intended to be, and that she was just Korean. The showrunners were apparently going to explain this, as Kipo was actually supposed to be a test tube baby, which again, according to the creator, would have explained why she doesn't have any of her dad's features. The bonkers thing is that test tube babies are conceived outside bodies. Kipo's mom wouldn't have been able to get pregnant, but in the show, she was pregnant with Kipo in flashbacks. There was nothing in the story that implied Kipo wasn't biologically related to her dad. Wonder Beasts didn't have a long shelf life for Netflix. It started and ended in 2020. It's been 2 whole years since it was released, and very rarely did any of the showrunners mention that Kipo was just Asian. Every single person in the fandom, no matter who they were, assumed Kipo was Blasian and that the main cast was black, including Kipo. The showrunners were especially quiet with letting Netflix promote it as a black show. You know, those shows that lead with black protagonists along with having other black characters too? Yeah, almost nothing was peeped loud enough for people to notice. And just now does the creator quote-unquote clarify that Kipo was never Blasian. He's tried to say he poorly worded that clear statement about Kipo's human racial identity. His first tweet says, "I'm happy for people to interpret Kipo how they want, but our intention was that she is Korean." A little later, he says, "I didn't think it was okay for me to say Kipo is Blasian since that wasn't the original design, but people seem to be totally cool with that, so I'd love to just say Kipo is Blasian as canon." I get that productions are complicated behind the scenes and it's probably not super cut and dry, but the problem for me, specifically, is that the showrunners didn't make this clear from the jump. The creator was responsive to fans for these past 2 years, and again, he didn't make a bigger fuss about Kipo's real racial identity. One of his tweets says he would actually mention this in some interviews, and he links to one video where he did, but the Wonder Beasts fandom didn't move any differently with any of these interviews. I didn't even know about them until I saw these tweets, and it looks like nobody knew about the interview he linked either, because it doesn't even have 300 views right now. He clearly saw that everyone was unironically calling her Blasian. So why didn't he think to more actively correct people for so long? He had the perfect opportunity to mention this here, in a tweet where someone from 2020 was asking him where the inspiration for Kipo being Blasian came from. "My brother in Christ, you really did lead everyone on. Now you got 95% of your Netflix cartoon fan base smoking out the window in deep thought." He tiptoes around confirming Kipo is Blasian shortly after that first tweet with her being Korean, and didn't really go with it until someone in the replies told him that he could. Even if Kipo wasn't designed to be half black, and her dad was redesigned to be black and not Asian anymore like his wife, Kipo could have still been Blasian. That could have been quietly canon. The creator said that he was worried no one would accept Kipo as Blasian if she didn't have any black features, but he severely underestimated people with media literacy. Once again, Wonder Beasts never alluded to Kipo being produced asexually. Her mom was pregnant with her, and since Kipo's dad was right there with them both and didn't say anything about test tubes or cloning or anything, it made sense to assume that Kipo was half black and Asian. I'm confused as to why the creator has been so scared to say that she is. In one DM conversation he has with someone, he brings up the rest of his crew when asked about Kipo being Blasian, who he apparently didn't think would be comfortable with him going around and saying she was. But once again, the show doesn't make that obvious at all. He didn't correct anyone for saying Kipo was Blasian for 2 years. I don't know why this information had to be so clearly brought up 2 years after the show ended. What was stopping the creator from clarifying this huge misunderstanding, or in just staying silent altogether and letting people have their representation in a fun little fantasy show? This is the biggest misunderstanding I've seen in a piece of media, period. Point blank. It feels like the rug's been pulled from under everyone's feet, from black people like me, to Blasian people who shared both of Kipo's racial identities. Was all this claiming just headcanons now if we all seriously believed it? I could have gone my whole life without knowing Kipo was never meant to be black. It's so sick, so twisted, so cruel. But it does make me consider how mainstream media does indeed cast the most ambiguous black girls as their leads, and usually don't like casting darker-skinned female protagonists unless they're in struggle media, or if it at least has something to do with racism. And even then, dark-skinned black women won't always be cast. Black male characters get to look visibly black 99% of the time. Animated media does this too, except they can control the designs of these characters. With the Owl House, Luz Nocija, as much as I love to claim her, doesn't have any black features, and the creator said she was Afro-Latina outside the show. I wouldn't have known she was supposed to be Afro-Latina because she has no unambiguously black features at all. They couldn't even give her darker skin like us, straightened hair or not. There could have been more visual cues that made me more inclined to headcanon her as black for myself until the creator actually mentioned it. For example, the character designers gave other characters more prominent lips, so I don't get why they couldn't have at least done that with Luz. Then the protagonist from The Ghost and Molly McGee was supposed to be half black, but the showrunners backed out because, apparently, they wanted the voice actor to share the same racial background as her. It's cool that Molly is half Asian, but you're telling me that they couldn't find even one black voice actor to fit this role? Sure, okay, I believe you. The 2019 DC superhero girls gave Bumblebee a lighter skin and lighter hair, which I find very funny because I bet $5,000 that she wouldn't have been whitewashed like that if she wasn't a wallflower in the show and was more outspoken and confident like the other girls. Catwoman's character has darker skin than her, and I could go on and on about how society associates light skin and proximity to whiteness to femininity and a softer personality, but I'm too lazy. All I can say is that I'm so tired. I can't have one thing for myself with this kind of stuff, can I? The other funny thing is that when everyone thought Kipo was Blasian, many people, including myself, wished Kipo had more black features, because with her purple skin, small nose, non-existent lips and spiky hair, there were no visual indicators that she was black. Her skin definitely made it more ambiguous, but it seems there's a canon reason for that now. It feels like the creator reaped the benefits of all that praise for black representation, but this just brings up questions I have. Is all that trap and hip-hop music just props for the protagonist? Are Wolf and Benson black side characters because the protagonist isn't technically black like them? What's up with all this obvious black influence and all these black characters with no black protagonist? I love this show, but now I'm thinking differently of it. It kind of reminds me of Bruno Mars. I thought he was, at least, half black when I was a teenager, but then I found out he wasn't black at all, and he's running around, making banger after banger that's directly influenced by black music, surrounding himself with black performers. It feels weird, even though I love his songs. You know what I mean? I've heard that previously black animated characters will get whitewashed to avoid controversy. But you know what would make those supposed controversies potentially go away? Hiring black people to write stories about these black characters instead of scrapping the black representation altogether or fumbling with it. Maybe the potentially bad representation wouldn't be bad if more black people had a say in it. Anyway, I don't care what anyone says. Kipo is Blasian to me. She's black. She's from Kwangya, or Blaishaw. She can sing along to Doja Cat and all these other black rappers. I'm leaving it at that. Please stream Luna's performances on Queendom and vote for them. Thanks for watching.